Hey, Honey Wash Day. This is Toksa Hour. I am Maggie Ross, and I am live from Porcupine, South Dakota, along the Porcupine Creek where the porcupines roam. Oh, well, I wanted to talk this morning about suppression again. We've been kind of talking about that topic for the past few shows. Suppression. I want to talk about the Prairie Thunder, talk about ICE detention and Thune. So, and we'll probably get Johnson and Rounds in there. And so that's kind of what I would like to do today is talk about these things and how they are going to be, potentially affecting us because it's a real issue right now, suppression. So our topic today is going to be suppression and sovereignty from the prairie to Palestine. Always got to be tying all of those things in because I've been saying for almost 2 years now, what happens in Palestine is going to be happening here, and we are now at here, unfortunately. So today is Sunday, August 17th. It's amazing. Time flies. It's very uh I mean time does not stand still for anyone. You know what I mean? It's true. It does not. It does not stand still for anyone, and it's always moving. And so we're in back to school mode. So all pretty much all of our, at least on the reservations, all of our children are back to school. Some public schools start after Labor Day, and then it's back to school. So there's still some maybe that are dealing with some still on in some end of summer break. But yeah, so we are back to school mode, and colleges are all getting ready to go back. So I know OLC, SGU, they're getting ready to go back. They have their registration. I don't know if they're still open, closed, but they're actively trying to get people engaged in classroom learning. Anyways, so I've been talking about censorship, suppression, all of that for some time. I really talked about it when it came to Palestine and when I was over on Meta platform, Facebook. When I was there, and it was happening in Instagram too, but then I don't know what happened. So Instagram kind of let up. And so, I mean, there were people that were got banned from Instagram, pretty famous people or popular people that were banned because of their positioning on Palestine. And then something happened, and these people now have the capability to post more information. Facebook doesn't, what Facebook will do is it's called, like, you can either call it throttle, they throttle your algorithm, or they shadow ban you. So throttling your algorithm basically means that nobody's going to see it. Nobody will see your content. And I forgot I need to, so I'm going to be doing two things because I promised I would email out um when we started today, and I didn't do that. So I need to do that real quick. Let's see. New mail. Why am I not getting new mail? Something's going. Anyway, so um I'm not sure how I can send that if I can't get into my mail. Maybe here. All right. That way I got it sent out. I promised I was going to do that, and then I just got started. It's much different, sharing. Sharing is much different here on YouTube than it is anywhere else. Good morning, Maggie. Mhm. So I got it shared. So it's shared. Um, anyway, so when we think about what has happened with Palestine and with the suppression, so Facebook was doing this Facebook will seriously throttle you. So you can post something, and I was experiencing it. I would post something, get zero views. Nobody saw it if it was about Palestine. All my other content was going through. People would see, would be in the news feed of Facebook. It would be in there. But whatever I said about Palestine, it would throttle it. Nobody's going to see it. Zero views unless you came to my page and then read, saw it, read it, liked it, share, whatever there, commented there, but it would be throttled. Nobody's seeing it. Even if somebody did do all of that and share, it's throttled on their page as well. Nobody's viewing it unless they come exactly to your page to view it. So that's what they were doing with their AI models for their platforms. So this was in Twitter was doing it as well, or X. And now we know that when Trump got elected, everybody came out and said, "Oh, Biden was so terrible. He forced us to do that," right? So now we're going to remove all of these suppression and censor things. But they didn't really. All they did was removed it for racist people, the Klan, national Christian nationalists, to come out and say whatever, misinform, do whatever. So they allowed that to continue to happen. But Palestine is still throttled or shadow banned. And so when you're shadow banned, you are um, you have very limited views. You don't go to the news feed either. Um, you can be like so in TikTok world, you have a FYP and you have your friends. So if you go to the following and you see your friends, you can see all of their content. But on the FYP, which goes out to everybody, so that's kind of what in TikTok or in Facebook world is. You have your news feed, and your news feed is now basically just set to people within your circle. And the only other information that's coming into your news feed is if it's paid for advertisement. And so Meta was really big on this for since its development, getting advertisements and getting people. We will sell you their data, we'll give you all of this information so you can target. And so that's how we knew on our phones that they were doing something, because if you said, like if you're talking to somebody about needing a certain tool, then all of a sudden in Facebook, that tool shows up in many different places to purchase, that you can buy it here. And so that's been happening. And like in this effort of being suppressed on platforms, is that it takes away our leadership voice of grassroots. They're limiting the grassroots organizers unless you can play by their game and use their language. So what does that mean? So TikTok just put out a series of new guidelines, and you're reading through those and you're like, what? You can't, it's like TikTok went rated G. You cannot use foul language. Um, cannot talk about political leaders. So you can't talk about Trump. You can't talk about Netanyahu or Satanyahu or Shitnyahu. You can't talk about Thune. You can't talk about anybody. Can't talk about Christy Nome, nobody. You can't talk about ICE. You can't talk about anything. And this all goes into effect September 13th. And if you do, then you get removed. You're going to get removed from the FYP, and that's where other people are going to see your information. And then there's ways you get around to get that information there. Is that you just send people to somebody's page and they see it. So maybe it's in the following. And so that you see it there, and you start at the bottom with the share, repost, and then you favorite, and then you comment, and then your comment has to be like 9 words or more. And you try not to use emojis, because emojis are used against you now. And then you heart. So that's how you move somebody's FYP or into the FYP, or you keep them on the FYP. So you can move somebody up, but they're now changing it to say no. And it's really interesting because TikTok was one of the most freest platforms. People could speak freely about whatever there. And now it's not like that anymore. And even their lives, like they're limiting what can be said on their lives. So you can't, and then I'm going to tell you that I do certain lives every day. So when I'm driving to work, driving back to work, and in the evening time, I will participate in certain lives where I will donate. And because this is the only way Palestinian people can eat, get food. And they have a market there, but it's very limited, very limited. They can get food, but everything is jacked up. So you could get maybe 4 cups of flour on any given day around here for $1, $2 or whatever. But over there, it's like to get that, you're paying $75 for it just to make some bread. And how that's affecting, and people will blame Hamas. Hamas is the one doing it. They're stealing the food and doing all of that. But even the Israeli people done their own research on it and said that was not true. And so they're creating this situation in Gaza where people try to get the stuff and then they have to sell it back to the neighbor or whatever, or maybe do some trading. I got the bag of flour, you got the grease, something, but they have to do that. And it's really sad. And Israel makes it that much more worse. So they will go in and they will destroy the food or give moldy food or contaminate the stuff so they can't even use it. So, they got it, but now they can't use it. And so I try to do my best to help them. And TikTok is the only way right now in which they can get their money right away. But even that, so I say I have $10 and I'm going to give $10 to somebody. That person in Palestine is not even going to get, so I give $10. They're good in the coin bank. They're going to see 75 or $7.50 because 75% of what was given goes to TikTok. So they're going to get $7.50. So when they take that $7.50 to go try to do the exchange, then somebody over there in the exchange is taking 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%. So somebody could get a lot of money in coins or receive a lot of coins, but when they actually go to cash them out, it is much less. And like me, when I get coins, so this frustrates me too. So when I'm on a panel and somebody's gifting me, and so when they gift me coins, then I usually will just convert that back into, keep it as coins, but pull it into my coin collection, and then I give it back to the Palestinians. But even me, so when they give it to me, say it's $5, it's going to come back to me. They still take their cut. I'm going to redistribute that, and they're going to take another cut from it. And so it's really frustrating. I'm getting frustrated because TikTok is the only place that we can go to help them at this point, and it just is becoming this big super racket. And then now TikTok wants to offer suppression, and even this, like, they can take my TikTok account because I'm saying this on Toksa Hour. So they now have a thing that says across platforms. So if I say anything about Donald Trump, if I say Donald Trump sucks, they can take after September 13th, because I said it on Toksa Hour, they can take my platform. And a lot of that is they've come through this process of hiring a IDF soldier. And we all know this. TikTok hired an IDF soldier, so this is how they're putting things down. They're trying to shut us up. And so the importance of it, why do I need to talk about this? Because this is grassroots efforts. And if we, as grassroots creators, organizers, and activists, if we are saying something in any platform, they are going to shut us down. And so we need to be figuring out ways, organizing to allow or to make these platforms change. So whether it's a protest and everybody deactivates for a day or two, or whatever it is, but we need to be organizing across platforms. I think they're saying X is probably the only platform now that you can say whatever, but it's probably going to change because they'll come after X too, because Elon Musk owns that. But of course, Elon is a billionaire and he doesn't have to share that with anybody. I don't know. But these are real issues. This is a big issue, and we need to understand that it is a big issue. And if we don't do something, then if we don't use our voice, if we don't try to, this is going to be the norm. And you know how they said we were free? Well, we're not free. I was looking, and I think I shared this before with you all, that um, there is a freedom rating for the world of nations. And there was a time when the United States, we were never, I don't think we were ever number one for these ratings. They rated us at 7. And so when George W. Bush was president, we were number 7 in freedoms, liberties. Well, we now have moved. I think we were at 18, but I bet we're going to fall much further. And so people have this misconception that we are a free nation, but we are fast or free falling. We are free falling into authoritarianism. And we'll have a lot of people say, "Oh, I told you that was going to happen. Project 2025, we said it. We were out there, blah, 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 blah." You're talking to the wall when you say that. You're talking to the wall, because you just saying something like that without actively engaging and actively telling us how someone was going to make that different is a totally another thing. So you could say, "We told you it's all your fault." Is it? We're in a big gerrymandering crisis. I don't know if you guys heard this, but yeah, so the Texas Democrats fled the state. This happened, if you remember, this happened, I think, in 2016 when Trump was president too. It seemed like, oh, no, no, no. This was probably was it before? Maybe Obama or the end of George W. Bush. Anyways, there was another state that did that. They left. I think it was Illinois. They left because they weren't going to make a decision, and they sent the cops out looking for them and whatever, and they left the state. So then, but now Texas has done that. Texas legislatures, Democratic legislatures have fled the state because they do not want to make a quorum so that the Republicans can pass a gerrymandering remapping where they take away the Democrats. So it'll just be a Republican state in Texas, everywhere, every seat. Like South Dakota. Like South Dakota is basically all Republican. Like they've gerrymandered us so darn bad. The only Democrats you see are coming out of the reservations, basically. So that's how they silenced our voice on the reservations is in our tribal governments is saying, oh, fine, you guys all voted for Tim Johnson, Oglala, Lakota County. Well, you're going to suffer some consequences now because you're not ever going to get a vote. Your vote will never mean anything. So that's kind of what they do. And anyway, so these guys left. So now Trump is going to send the FBI after them. So the FBI is going to go arrest these Texas Democrats for fleeing their state and take them back and force them to be in the state, I guess. It's like, oh, I thought there was serious matters going on here, Trump. I thought like we were deporting people. I thought we needed to get those people out. And I thought we were releasing the Epstein files. And, you know, I thought those were the most important. And so he's doing all of this distraction stuff because of the Epstein files, right? Like he doesn't want that released. He's trying to make everybody forget about the Epstein files. He even cussed up people on his own platform for being stuck on the Epstein files. And so he's trying to flip the script or change the narrative and get everybody to look elsewhere. So he's doing a lot of things. He's bringing in um, the National Guard into Washington, D.C., and they're there now. And there's a big protest, but we don't see it because of suppression. We don't see it on our news. We're not seeing it on our platforms. We're not seeing it anywhere unless you know where to go. And so there's code words now. So we're to get around the algorithms, we have to create code words. And then you can see it because people are throttling, these platforms are throttling or they're shadow bananaing. We call it that in TikTok because you can't even say shadow banned in TikTok world. So you call it bananaed. You can't say I was banned or whatever. You have to say bananaed. I was bananaed. So we talk all kinds of crazy language in TikTok because we're trying to get around the suppression. And so this is a big thing, right? Like we have all of this stuff going on. And in South Dakota, we could sit back and say, oh, that's New York. That's California. Oh, that's Texas. Oh, that's Palestine. Sorry. It's my first cup of coffee, so it's like I feel like I need an IV. Anyway, so that's kind of what we say here in South Dakota. Like it doesn't matter. It don't matter. It don't matter. It matters. It matters, but because we choose to say it don't matter and we choose to whatever, like now it's here. Let me share it. Let me share it, people, because I don't know. Maybe you should be mad. I don't know. Maybe you should be mad. I don't know. What do they call it? We have going on right now. Which article do I want to share with you guys? It's so tragic. Um, Maybe I could do this lady's voice here. So we have now, I think I shared it. See if I can get this to come on. Mm, now I'm gonna freeze up, darn it. Oh, and we get an ad. Darn it. Anyway, so what we have going on, let me just exit out of that one, is we have Operation Prairie Thunder. That's what we have going on here. So here you can kind of see we have Argus Leader, what we know about South Dakota's Operation Prairie Thunder. MSNBC, that's what I was trying to show. South Dakota's Operation Prairie Thunder to support ICE. South Dakota governor touts record drug seizure as showing need for Operation Prairie Thunder. Roden was running a state-funded campaign before Operation Prairie Thunder. So this is Yahoo. Highway Patrol makes record meth seizure. So this is, so they're all trying to like build it up, right? Like we need to do this. 10 illegal aliens in South Dakota paroled to ICE custody under Operation Prairie Thunder. 10. 10. We're gonna spend millions of dollars for 10 illegal aliens. Operation Prairie Thunder. South Dakota unveils Operation Prairie Thunder. Vermilion Plain Talk. Caloland rode in to launch Operation Thunder in Sioux Falls. Caloland again. Descent strong for Operation Prairie Thunder. Dakota News. Governor Roden announces Operation Prairie Thunder. So Dakota Territory News 11 days ago said Sioux Falls citizens speak out against ICE initiative at City Council. Anyway, so you could click or do your Google search on that, which I did. I did Bing, it looks like. And that's what came up. All and it is very, very frustrating. Operation Prairie Thunder, because you remember a couple weeks ago I was talking about the ICE detention that's getting built in the Black Hills. So if you remember, Fall River County is pushing to have or to enter into a contract because Fall River County needs to build the new jail because they have an old jail and it's kind of falling apart, deteriorating, and so they need a new jail so they can jail all the Indians. Anyway, so this guy comes up and he says, "This is what we need to do." You know, Governor or Kristi Noem was our governor. She supported us. You know, we support her, and there's all this money. So if you also recall, in the big beautiful bill that Trump got passed in the House and the Senate, in the big beautiful bill, they took money. So ICE gets more money than the Marine Corps. So ICE is going to get billions of dollars. They increased their thing. So it isn't even about FEMA. It's about incarceration. And so and this is coming out even in Florida, like all of the scandal coming around about the funding and what happened with the funding and these facilities that were built and how much these corporations. So whether you're talking about free or the prison industrial complex or the military industrial complex, because now you have all of those military people over there bidding for these to build these prisons. So there's a lot of scandal tied around that. Like you just put up pop-up tents or pop-up things, and then You're putting cages around and then you're just sleeping out in the open. That's how it was in the Southwest too. Anyway, so that's happening. And we have Operation Prairie Thunder. So the 10 illegal immigrants that they found here need to be placed somewhere. So we're going to build a detention center in Fall River County, and then that's where we're going to put the 10. So we're going to get a millions and millions of dollars, maybe $500 million to build an ICE detention center in the Black Hills to put 10 people. And then what they'll say is, oh, we have all this room. So let's go ahead and bring all these other people here. So then we're going to get other people when we're supposed to be deporting, right? We said we were deporting. And did you see that Trump just extradited people from Mexico? MS-13 or whatever, the cartel, he extradited people back to the United States when he said we're deporting, we're getting all the criminals out. That's what he said, but now he's extraditing them back here to be tried for what? To be placed in these ICE detention centers. It's crazy business, people. It is. It's crazy business. So what does this have to do? What does this mean when our sacred lands become sites of incarceration? How is this tied to a broader pattern of militarization on native lands? Like, where are our leaders? I just seen where an elder up in Cheyenne River, Joe Lafferty, was indicted federally because he went to a council meeting up there, as elders often do, and stated some, like laid down some rules. Like they get tired of it. You're hiding from us. You're hiding from the people. You're here as Lakota people. We are not America. We don't operate the same way. But because what we see happening with APAC, with our political leaders, is the same that's happening in our tribal councils. So these people, they're bought and paid for. A good many of them are bought and paid for. Their campaigns, they have money. They never have to report it. I don't know any tribal reservation that has a election accountability, any kind of election where they election finance ordinances. I don't know any that have that. So if you guys know somebody that does, some tribe that has an election finance code, please let me know. Please email it. Please send it to me. I would like to see it and I'd like to share it and say, here's the model. Here's the model. But yeah, so that's kind of what we have. And it's really sad. It's really, really sad because the Black Hills are sacred. Trump is here. We knew he was coming. South Dakota's always going to vote for Trump. They have silenced us so bad that they're making us all felons. So they take our right to vote. And so the only way that we can maintain is to just be quiet and vote. Because now they're criminalizing everything. And the Republicans would love it that way. But I'm going to tell them today, you are a Second Amendment person. You better be on the streets with us because they're coming after your guns. They are. Watch. Watch. What do you think Trump is doing in DC with that National Guard? What do you think he was doing in California with that National Guard? Then they're now coming here to South Dakota. So you guys think you're all whatever. You're not. You're just like the rest of us. You're not sacred. It's crazy. Crazy business. Oh, man, these are some rants, I tell you. I'm on the rant from wherever. Shoot. So I was going to share out. Mm, Let me see if I could pull it up here. Office of Senator John Thune. And I want to open this. Open this in a new window. Oh, shoot. And then it closed. I opened it in a new window and then it closed. Darn it. So I wrote a letter to John Thune in regards to what is happening in Palestine. And I wrote him an email and I made phone calls. I do this quite frequently. And let me find it here. And again, a new window. Okay, and I'll share this with you guys because I think it's important because we should know. So this is what he says. Dear Margaret, thank you for contacting me. I appreciate hearing from you. The United States has a long-standing partnership with Israel, which is supported by a memorandum of understanding on strategic cooperation that provides annual security assistance. Following Hamas's barbaric attack against Israel on October 7, 2023, the United States provided Israel with additional assistance, most notably passing the National Security Act 2024, Public Law 118-50, into law in April 2024. This supplemental funding package secured $26.4 billion in aid for Israel and U.S. military operations in the Middle East. To this day, we also continually press for the swift return of hostages and the elimination of Hamas as a terrorist threat on Israel's border. Following Iran's missile attacks against Israel's civilian centers on January 13, 2025, American air defenses helped Israel defend itself. And on June 20, 2025, U.S. armed forces conducted precise, limited airstrikes on 3 Iranian nuclear sites. Iran responded with unsuccessful retaliation against a U.S. military installation in Qatar. The Republican Senate majority will continue to work with President Trump to assist Israel in defending Hamas, bringing hostages home, providing humanitarian aid, deterring Iran's malign influence throughout the region, and working towards lasting peace in the region. National security is a top priority as our nation continues to confront growing threats to home and abroad. If you would like additional information on my activities in the Senate, please feel free to visit my website. You can also follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. He's not even active on Facebook. He's a liar. He is not. And Instagram either, he's not. He has accounts, but he doesn't post anything there. He does in Twitter, but he doesn't on. Thanks again for contacting me. Please keep in touch. Kindest regards, John Thune, United States Senator. So that's him. That's what he's saying. And that's very frustrating for me. It's very frustrating for me. Because we have this going on. Hold on. Oh, I asked it something, so now it's really slow. It doesn't want to give it to me. It's crazy. Crazy how they're just doing this to us. I'm going to end up having to go into my TikTok. But what I wanted to say or I wanted to show was images of. So he's saying this, but this is what that billions of dollars is doing. It's starving children. There are children dying every day and adults dying every day of starvation, forced starvation. And there is a nonprofit group. I think they're located in New York that was helping bring Palestinian children to the United States who needed aid, who needed medical aid, medical assistance that were in dire need. And there's now this congressman named Randy Flynn, and I think he's out of Florida. He's raising Cain about it. And so Donald Trump has put a stop to bringing, and I think maybe it was 100 children that have so far been brought here for help and are here as refugees. And now they're getting kicked out. Donald Trump is kicking them out. And so that's like really unfortunate. But that's what John Thune supports. John Thune, Dusty Johnson, Mike Rounds support starving children. Who are the children of Palestine? They're the children of the Lakota Nation as well, because we have people starving to death on our reservations as well. Our homeless rate has risen. They have just cut food stamps. They have cut Medicaid. They're doing all of these things. Housing is on the rise. We can't afford to live anywhere, so we're on the streets. And so what Donald Trump says is he's going to put all the homeless people in jail. So we don't have a federal prison in the state of South Dakota, but we're going to have an ICE detention center that has 10 illegal immigrants. So who's going to go there? They're also illegal immigrants, and probably Lakota people are going to be forced into slave labor. So when you look at the state of Tennessee, this is what Tennessee is doing. So you know how those Mexicans were, working the fields? They'll still work the fields, but they're going to do it from prison. So that's what we're doing. That's what Thune supports. And that's what a lot of South Dakotans support. They do. I mean, and we know this as Lakota people. We know them. We know them because we live amongst them. They may get out there and say, oh, we're not like that. John Thune, he is from Myrtle, South Dakota. Where's Myrtle? Myrtle is right in Lakota territory. 1868 treaty lands. That's where Myrtle, South Dakota is. That's where John Thune was raised. And most settlers raised there in Lakota territory are like that. And they don't like it when you get people from the East Coast or California coming to live here and saying, hey, wait a minute. They don't like those guys. They want it to be like how it used to be, where they had everything. So don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself. I don't know how John Thune can talk about anything. So he talks about freedom abroad. Whose freedom? Israel? Israel's the aggressor in the Middle East. And then I saw this YouTube video of this lady. She's can't even remember what kind of scholar she is, but she's a historian, and she talked about like colonization. The Middle East is a colonial word, is what she says. Colonial from the British colonies. And so how the British colony or British talked about their colony. So India was a British colony. So India is Far East. Egypt is Middle East. And so then she talks about how she redoes that and talks about the West. So the West, London is Middle West, and the United States is Far West. So she just uses the language back on them, and people they laugh, they don't get it, they're like how we're colonized in our minds and thoughts. And I wanted to say that because even though we're going through this suppression and everybody wants to move us back to the colonial ages, to colonization where we had kings ruling over us, everybody's pushing us there. You have those Western countries. You have London, Egypt, or London, England, um, Germany. These are the Western powers. United States. These are the Western powers. And Russia was always tied with the East, right? Eastern Orthodox Church, East. They've always been organized with, or thought of as in the East. And I think it's because of the continent of Asia. So they would be North Asia or Northern Asia or something like that if we just decolonized our words and how we identified places on the map. And we looked at like Palestine maybe being West Asia and not the Middle East. Anyway, something like that. But where am I going with this conversation? I'm going somewhere. Um, anyway, so when we think about what we're doing with our language and how we categorize it for other people to colonize. So we're going back and we're trying to reestablish colonization. And so we're seeing this in America too. We're trying to go back to reestablish. And so the MAGA people, many of them may be in support of what Trump is doing because they want us to go back to that, where they had all of the power and say. And as other people, we were just other people that could be dismissed and had no value. And that would be throughout the world. So in Africa, remember, Trump was trying to get involved in Africa and saying that they are genociding white people in Africa. So the colonial powers in Africa, North Africa, there. So you see it. And when we think about that, we should know, and this is what just blows my mind about history. When you go back and you search, when you do the search in history, and you go back and you say the beginning of times, or when did civilizations begin? Books always are going to take you to Egypt, to North Africa. Egypt is North Africa. Palestine would be considered that, or be considered a part of Asia. But anyway, so it goes there. The Babylonian times, all of that is in this area. The Palestinian people, their history, their everything is tied into Western thought and philosophy, belief systems. So those white guys over there in Europe, they were all savages. They were just brutally killing each other over territories because they had kings and queens and whatever. That's history. They were brutal. You go look at German history, you go look at that time, and you'll see Beowulf. Why does Beowulf exist as a piece of literatural work? Go look at that. What were they? How did they exist? Westward expansion starts in the area that they call the Middle East, North Africa. Western expansion starts there. It didn't start with the Washichu in Europe. It did not. It started here. And for the Washichu of Europe, of Poland, of America to go over and think that they know better and that these guys are savages, that they're inhumane, they're illiterate, they're criminals, they're all of that stuff is total bullshit. And we need to know that. It's BS. It is BS. Western civilization started in this area. It did. Western. And then it moved west and then it eventually landed in America. So are we all tied together? Yes, we are. Because of that expansion, because of that knowledge. It just took the washichu to twist that into greed, right? Ugh, that's why we call them washichu. Anyways, I'm sorry, people. I'm sorry. I'm just all bent out of shape over this. It's just disheartening. It's disheartening that we are at this level. And you don't think it affects you? It does. I left Facebook and people are saying, you need to go back to Facebook. You need to come back to Facebook. You need to bring Toksa Hour back to Facebook. But I don't want to. I don't want to go back over there. That's what everyone's saying. Come back, come back. We need you to come back. I'm like, I'm on YouTube. You can come to YouTube. You can come see me on YouTube. That's okay. That'll work. YouTube. But they don't see it. Anyway, so what do we need to do? We're being suppressed. We have militarization coming, and and this is all threaded through political hypocrisy, all of it. They're one system. So what do we do as Americans? So you see people they're doing action. As Indigenous people, we're not doing action. We're not moving because we always look at that as their problem and not our problem. But it is our problem because it's affecting us. And so we need to be asking our own leaders, what are you doing? What are you saying? I mean, truthfully, I know they don't get along, but they need to put that difference aside and they need to come together. They need to come together and they need to get strong and they need to collectively bring these voices of leadership together. That's even up there in Eagle Butte. You guys your leaders need to get over themselves and represent the people. Oglala, same thing. Get over yourselves, represent the people. We need somebody to stand up because why? Thune, Johnson, Rounds. They don't care about the average Lakota person. Average Dakota person. They only listen to elected officials. And so if you guys are too busy over there fighting each other, our voice is not being represented because nobody's saying anything. And is anybody saying anything about the Black Hills? I don't hear it. What's happening? Anyways, if you don't remember, I'm also on Substack and I do take Toksa Hour and I share it up in Substack. On my Substack page, I am Prairie Rose. I think you can even type in Maggie Ross, but there's probably thousands of Maggie Rosses, but you could do that. Toksa Hour, you'll find me on Substack. I'm in TikTok for the time being, but I may be evacuated. I may be evacuated from TikTok or banned or banished or whatever from there because of this. I would also just want to say this one thing that I needed to say. Before I close out, and it's really important. It really is important. So, and this is what happens. This is what happens to people. So this is an Al Jazeera journalism review. And this guy that you see, his name is Anas al-Sharif. And he was killed this past week by Israel. And he is a journalist. And he grew up in Gaza. Like he is a refugee. He lived in, I can't remember, the Jabalia refugee camp. Because his people were in Israel, and what Israel considers their territory. His Palestinian roots were over there, and they kicked his people out, and so he ended up in a refugee camp in Gaza, in the Strip. And there's over 270 some journalists that have been targeted and killed by Israel because they don't want their voice. And what they did to this guy is they said, and they do it to all of them, that they're all Hamas. to justify their killing. And Thune will say that too. Thune will repeat those. Dusty Johnson, Mike Rounds will say that. And they do that to us as Lakota people too. It's easier to dismiss us. That Maggie Ross, she's just a rabble rouser. She's just a troublemaker. AIM, what they did to AIM. So it says, for over a year and a half, Anas Jamal al-Sharif refused to leave northern Gaza, documenting the destruction and loss that others tried to hide. Tonight, Israel silenced his voice, but his final words written on April 6th will echo far beyond his death. And so this was published on August 11th. He was murdered. He was targeted and murdered with 5 other people in an Al Jazeera news reporting tent. And it was next to the Al Shifa hospital. They were targeted. They were all unalived. So this is his words. This is my will and my final message. If these words reach you, know that Israel has succeeded in killing me and silencing my voice. First, peace, mercy, and blessings of Allah be upon you. Allah knows that I have given everything I possess, every effort and every ounce of strength to be a support and a voice for my people. Ever since I opened my eyes to life in the alleys and streets of the Jabalia refugee camp, my hope was that Allah would grant me enough years to return with my family and loved ones to our original homeland of occupied Asquelan, Al-Majadal, but Allah's will came first, and his decree is carried out. I have lived through pain in all its details, and I have tested loss and grief many times, yet I never once hesitated to convey the truth exactly as it was, without falsification or distortion, so that Allah may bear witness against those who stayed silent, those who accepted our killing, those who suffocated our breath, and those whose hearts were unmoved by the torn bodies of our children and women, and who did nothing to stop the massacre our people have endured for more than a year and a half. I entrusted you with Palestine, the jewel of the crown of Muslims, and the heartbeat of every free soul in this world. I entrust you with its people and with its wronged, innocent children who were not given enough time in the life to dream or live in safety and peace, whose pure bodies were crushed beneath thousands of tons of Israeli bombs and missiles, torn apart and scattered against the walls. I entrust you not to be silenced by chains, nor held back by borders. Be bridges toward the liberation of land and people, until the sun of dignity and freedom rises over our usurped homeland. I entrust you with my family to treat them well. I entrust you with the apple of my eye, my beloved daughter, Sham, whom the days did not allow me to watch grow as I had always dreamed. And I entrust you with my dear son, Salah, whom I wish to stand beside and guide until he became strong enough to bear my burdens and carry on the mission. I entrust you with my beloved mother, whose blessed prayers brought me to where I am, whose supplications were my fortress, and whose light was my path. I pray that Allah strengthens her heartbeat and rewards her for me with the best of rewards. And I entrust you also with my lifelong companion, my beloved wife, Salah Bayan, whom the war separated from me for long days and months. Yet she remained faithful to the covenant, steadfast like the trunk of an olive tree that does not bend, patient and steadfast, carrying the trust in my absence with all her strength and faith. I entrust you to gather around them and to be their support after Allah Almighty. If I die steadfast upon the principle, and I bear witness before God that I am content with his decree. I'm faithful in meeting him and certain that what is with Allah is better and everlasting. O Allah, accept me among the martyrs. Forgive me my past and future sins, and make my blood a light that illuminates the path of freedom for my people and my family. Forgive me if I have fallen short, and pray for me with mercy For I have kept my covenant and have neither changed nor altered. Do not forget Gaza, and do not forget me in your silence, or in your sincere prayers for forgiveness and acceptance. Honest Jamal al-Shri. So this has been a very difficult time. For me, I've been numb for a couple days because I know many of the journalists, like I interact with them on a daily basis on TikTok. And it's really sad for me to know and see and like how the world just doesn't even care their sacrifice. And as Lakota people, like we have the Tokala Society, we have the Ihoka Society, we have the Strong Heart Society, we have all these societies that at one time we had our men would stand and our women, like we would stand in these places and we would defend the people. And that's what those guys are doing. They're trying to defend the truth. What is the truth? We don't know because we choose not to know. So I encourage you guys. I encourage you to pray for them. Pray for them. If you can help them financially, help them. Call your representatives. Make noise. There's a lot of people out there banging pots and pans. There's a lot going on, but we sit silent on the Lakota reservations. Why? In our Lakota communities, why are we quiet? We need to be making noise because this is about us as well. ICE is in the Black Hills. John Thune supports that. Kristi Noem supports that. A lot of things going on. We need to use our voice and we need to fight the suppression that is happening. Or we're going to need to find a different way to communicate because they're taking away the platforms. So anyways, thank you guys for being with me. I wish you well. It is Sunday. We're winding down the summer, so get out and enjoy the most of what you can. Be safe, be blessed, and I will see you next week. Toksa.